you, since we've accepted that agreement just a few days ago, have you been in communication with perhaps um, the important stakeholders here in Nigeria and perhaps the ministries, for example, perhaps Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Water Resources, Ministry of even Industry Trade and Investment, to see how we can benefit from this agreement with the WTO on fisheries subsidies? That is one. The second part is, what steps do you think that Nigeria can take now, pending when we see a ratification of this agreement? Because the ratification will come when about 2/3 of countries that are members of the WTO sign on it, as it were. So what steps should we take now? And I'm hoping that we should see perhaps close to 100 countries, or more than 100, making about 2/3, sign on this, come on board with the WTO on this fisheries subsidy. So what are the necessary steps that we may begin to take now? And what has been your engagement since this happened in Geneva? I saw that Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala was really happy, when you came up and said, okay, Nigeria has signed and we are coming on board with you. She was so happy about that. So talk to me about those two things which I've asked you.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, in the process of the negotiations of this agreement, the stakeholders in Nigeria were carried along, particularly the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, the Fishery Department. They have been the core that we have been consulting, and they have been participating in the meeting along with other stakeholders. In fact, the NIMASA, the Nigerian Navy, and the Fisheries and Agriculture Watch Initiative, and then the Institution of Oceanic Logic in Lagos. So, and other stakeholders. The Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment had been the anchor, the facilitator of this agreement, and in fact, including the Ministry of Justice. So they are fully aware, they have been part and parcel of these processes and the negotiations to the end of the negotiation up to the time of the adoption by the ministers. So having said that, since they are all aware, and of course, even the process of taking the memo to the Federal Executive Council, it was a joint memo between the Federal Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, as well as the Federal Minister of Agriculture. The two ministers presented the memo to the council then. And that is to tell you that all the stakeholders were fully involved. Now it was concluded and signed and submitted. So the next step is to invoke one of the provisions in the agreement, which is institutional arrangement. That institutional arrangement is for the Nigerian government to establish a committee that will facilitate the implementation of that committee, and that will involve all the stakeholders involved. So they are to sit down to work out their action plans and so on. So that is the first step that they need to do.